Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. Welcome, everybody, to the first Monday of July. Back in the big chair after vacation is wrapped up. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, the 6th of July, 2026. More than halfway home with the calendar year. And I'm here to tell you, summer is officially over. Yeah, how about it? Hope you enjoyed it. We got it for a few days because I'm here to tell you that talking season begins tomorrow. And with that, that means the end of what we know as summer, because football is back. For those that follow and observe in college football, it officially starts tomorrow. That's why I'm back from vacation. We enjoyed last week. Thanks to everyone that filled in. I know Sam was here last Tuesday. Riley was on Wednesday and Thursday. Isaac Dienison did Friday's show. So I appreciate everybody helping us out and filling in for me over the last few days. I will expound on the family's first vacation. We've done trips back to New York, but as I mentioned before, those aren't vacations, because that's like I'm going home. There's just a lot to it. I love seeing my family, and obviously they love seeing Courtney and Jack, but that's not vacation. This was the first time it was just the three of us that went and traveled, and thankfully we did not have nearly the exploits of last summer, which was good for everybody's sanity. But we did survive the sweltering heat of Chicago. I don't know what it was like here. I think it was warm. Chicago was toasty to the nth degree. But we'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. I come back on a Monday, and Mondays are always, I always say, quote-unquote, easy shows, because we got a lot to recap from the weekend. Typically, though, in July, when we get to this part of the year, you know, we're crawling to the All-Star break in baseball, which is a week from now when the season stops and everybody will disperse and go to Philadelphia, I believe it is, next week for the All-Star game. And we're getting near media days. The Mountain West has its media days coming up a week from next Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be in Las Vegas. So if I was warm in Chicago, not sure I'm ready for the service of the sun that we're going to have in Vegas next week. But that's what we're normally talking about this time of year. Instead, I am handed a Monday show filled with either massive controversy or huge storylines. The Twins won a series in New York City, which they haven't done in 12 years. That alone would have been front page. That would have led our show 9 out of 10 Mondays, because they beat the Yankees 2 out of 3, which never happens. Literally hasn't happened in a dozen years. But the story that keeps on giving is what's surrounded the U.S. men's national team over the last 5 days. Now, I know Riley and Isaac hit this pretty heavy last week, so I'm not going to try and retread ground that's already been discussed. But just from my own point of view, watch the U.S. game. We got back from our travails last, whatever it was, Wednesday, and watched the second half of the United States matchup with Bosnia and Herzegovina, and saw the Flo Balogun play happen in real time. Then I saw it in slow motion. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm a great soccer mind. I pay attention to the sport. I would think I know most of the rules of the sport. VAR has certainly made an impact, I think, with people that are new to it. And saw what happened, Thought, all right, that's probably a yellow at worst, and we'll play on. And, of course, we all know what happens. The red is issued. He's ejected from the game. The United States has to play with 10 men the rest of the way. They somehow score another goal, and they win 2-0, and they're moving on to play Belgium. But Balogun is going to miss the Belgium game because he is suspended because he got a red card. And that was the modus operandi going forward. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, yesterday, at the grocery store and getting stuff together as we've been gone for a week, and my phone starts blowing up. And the first headline I get is Balogun back, reinstated. What? Because everything we had led to believe is that there was not going to be any reinstatement of him because FIFA doesn't call for that. That once you get it, that you can't come back. It's like crossing the baselines in Field of Dreams. Like once you go, you can't come back. But evidently, the President of the United States, who doesn't have anything else apparently on his plate, decided to call up the president of FIFA. Now, for those that follow this, back in December, I believe the president of FIFA gave Trump this peace prize because he hasn't got the Nobel Prize. It's you know how the whole thing is there. So already we know how corrupt FIFA is as an organization. They put the bleeping World Cup in Qatar. And they promised all the stadiums would have air conditioning, and none of the stadiums, okay? They put the World Cup in a desert nation when the World Cup is played in the summer, okay? They had to move it to December. So let's just get the baseline out there that we know the corruption exists in this entity, okay? That's not breaking news. That's not, grab my pearls. Can't believe this is happening. But I wish I wasn't as naive as I thought I was once I read the story before the other ancillary reporting came out from the New York Times, Yahoo, you name it. Now, heck, ABC News has confirmed it, that the president called FIFA to allegedly ask about it. I mean, you can infer however you want. It certainly seems like some pressure was exerted here to get Balogun reinstated and can play tonight in the matchup against Belgium. So in the span of since this story broke at about 11 o'clock yesterday morning, so nearly 24 hours now, the United States men's national team has gone from the plucky underdogs, I think even the cursory sports fan has glommed onto over the last month. How they played in the group stage, they won their group, how they persevered in the round of 32 match, down a guy and advanced, now has taken on not necessarily the enemy role, but certainly they are not viewed as they were 24 hours ago. They just are not. The Belgians have filed an appeal. That happened this morning. What comes of that seems... I mean, here we are. It's 9:07 Central Time. The match goes off here in 10 hours. That would be unbelievable. That would be like WWE heel turn if FIFA says, you know what? No, Belgium got screwed here. We're going to reinstate it, and he can't play. So here's how this is going to go. I'm telling you right now. Belgium's going to go and win this game 4-1. That's what's going to happen tonight. Because now everything's the United States is going to win. Now I can see this going the complete opposite and the Belgians winning tonight. I really can. It's a story that has transcended sports. If you were to flip on any of the morning news shows, whether it be Good Morning America, the Today Show, whatever, CNN, that is the second story. It's whatever happened over the holiday weekend, whether it was celebrating the 250th birthday of the United States, to crazy weather, and then bam, Balogun is back. I mean, that's how much this is taken over. And frankly, the World Cup has grabbed, I think, a lot of people's attention simply because the tournament has been enthralling. It's been gripping. The tension has been amazing. Watching whatever, I can't remember what match it was last week, that it went to penalties and nobody could make one. It was just agonizing to watch how it played out. That's how it's transfixed people, I think, that aren't even soccer fans. And now you throw this in with some presidential intrigue and corruption. You've got it's a made-for-movie story. It really is. And so that's the backdrop tonight. The United States is playing a team that they have not beaten. The Belgians crushed us, whatever it was, 3 months ago. I came on this show with Drew Trafton the day after, and I complained, like, what the bleep are we doing? We just got run out of the field by Belgium. I think it was 5-2 we got beat. The Belgians beat us at the World Cup in Brazil in 2014. This is the same group. Now they're older. We are a different team, and obviously our best player, and some would say that's not accurate, that Christian Pulisic is our best player. It hasn't played like that so far in the World Cup. Balogun has been. He scored in every game that he's played in. He didn't play in the Turkey A game. So that's a little intrigue for tonight. Certainly, as it played out yesterday, like I went and I mowed the grass, and I got back, and I saw the first headline was President called FIFA to exert influence. Like, what? So that is the backdrop for what we have going on tonight. We'll have more on that coming up in just a little bit later on in the show. I was debating, like, how much do we want to hit this before the President Trump stuff came in, before our government got involved, and then once that came out, like, oh yeah, we gotta hit this hard today. So we're going to do that later in the show. Obviously, there's been massive watch parties around the country, including here in downtown Fargo. Every match has gotten bigger for the amount of people, and tonight, weather looks like should be okay. We might have some severe weather blow through. I don't think that's scared off people that have been down to Broadway Square to watch tonight. It's 7 o'clock. It's a perfect time. Heck, the Turkey match was at 9 o'clock, and there was still a ton of people there. I anticipate there will be tonight, and we'll hit that pretty heavy coming up later on in the show. Be that as it may, there were two other matches yesterday. We're now into the round of 16s. Okay, we're getting down to the final 8. We're nearing the end of this thing. 2 weeks from yesterday, it's over. And then people can go back to ignoring soccer for another 4 years for those that love it. I'm sure there are some that have gotten so attached to it that they're now going to pick a team to follow, whether it's a Premier League team, a Bundesliga team, whatever, Champions League, however MLS even, that have gripped them. For the rest of us, I think we go back to ignoring it for at least till next year when the Women's World Cup hits. So even our own Kevin Wallivan, and I love Kev. He's not necessarily a great sports mind. He follows it occasionally. He texted me yesterday. His beloved Norway was facing Brazil. And here's the great nerd stat of all nerd stats, that Norway has never lost to Brazil. How is that a thing in international soccer? That was the matchup yesterday at MetLife Stadium, the home of the New York Football Jets, who've not seen any playoff wins in 15 years. The Norwegian goalie made a tremendous save on a penalty that Brazil got early in the match. And then Erling Haaland took over. If you've not heard of him, you have over the last month, because he's been phenomenal. The header here, it was midnight in Norway, and they're rocking. Brazil had its chances. This one, in the 86th minute, just goes by the net. Haaland says, you know what? Let's put this one. He goes through the Brazilian defender's legs to blast him. Watch again. He goes through the defender's legs to score. We've heard plenty about Messi, plenty about Mbappe. I don't know if we've heard enough about Erling Haaland, and the Viking Row will move on to the quarterfinals for the first time after a 2-1 win. They would play the winner of this match. The England-Mexico match was insane last night. Got started there on this goal from Jude Bellingham, who scored twice in 2 minutes. Again, I'm not a great soccer mind, but that doesn't happen all that often. The English were up 2-0. Went down, put Jack to bed, came back up. Mexico had scored on this Brilliant goal by Julian Quinones in the 42nd minute. Then, controversy here. A red card given to the English on that slide tackle. That is Weller. Now, we'll see if the King of England calls up FIFA to get him back in. Harry Kane and England award a penalty shot. He scores. It's 3-1. Now the Mexicans are awarded a penalty shot. Raul Jimenez scores. It's 3-2. 5 goals in a soccer match is like 31 points in football. It's crazy. They got 10 minutes of stoppage time. This was right at the end. Mexico had a chance to tie it. The ball just goes right by the post. Watch again. This is about as close you can to coming without scoring. England holds on and beats Mexico in Mexico City, mind you, in the altitude, 3-2. So Norway will play England in one of the quarterfinals. That'll be on Saturday in Miami. Might be a bit warm for two teams that are near the Arctic Circle. Certainly the Norwegians. France and Morocco will play in the first quarterfinal. That's on Thursday. You see the United States quadrant. The winner of the USA-Belgium game will get the winner of Portugal and Spain. They play today. And then the other side of the bracket where Messi and Argentina will play Egypt and Switzerland will play Colombia. Just going back real quick to the matchup between Brazil and Norway. Our esteemed Emmy Award-winning reporter texted me, "Screw Brazil and their nuts." It's just the best. So again, it has gripped people that normally don't even follow the sport. It has become something I think that people can certainly attach to. So we know 4 of the 8. We'll know 6 of the 8 tonight. We'll see if the United States can be part of it. And then the last 2 quarters are coming up tomorrow. It's been fabulous to watch. It has been a ton of fun. And the matches have been great. Like I said 2 weeks ago when I was here, that you have something happening nearly at every time slot. Now it gets a bit trickier here that with less matches, they're going to be more judicious with their start times. I think today is 3 o'clock and 7, something like that, 2 and 7. But it's just been riveting television. It's not been 0-0 games. I think that's always the knock on soccer. Like, oh, well, going to watch it for 1 goal. I mean, there were 5 goals that happened in that England-Mexico match. And some of them coming at the very end, like in the 90th minute or the 97th. Just crazy finishes here. That's just added to the excitement of what this tournament has been. And part of it, too, before we move on here, is that it's the time of year it's at, right? There's nothing else going. Unless you love baseball and you're watching the Twins every day, there's nothing else on sporting-wise, right? Unless you are a NBA hardcore and can't wait for Summer League. Golf is only on for a few days out of the week. There's nothing else happening right now. I think that it's scooped up people's attention that are looking for live sports. And the atmosphere and the crowds have been amazing. And you've got some intrigue now. And as the longer the United States stays in this as well, I think that also keeps people's attention. If the United States somehow wins tonight, and they've only beaten one European team over the last 5 years, and that's Bosnia. They beat them now twice. The longer they can stay in this, the more you're going to get average people to follow. And somehow if they can win the following match and play in the semifinals of this thing, look out. Now we're talking craziness then. Speaking of craziness, as I mentioned earlier, the Minnesota Twins won a series in New York City. Not against the Mets. They lost a series to the Mets. When I was gone, Carlos Mendoza fired. The Mets keep losing games. I believe they're like 17 games under 500 right now, which is awesome on July the 6th that the season's already over. No, they lost a series in Queens. They won a series in the Bronx, something they haven't done in 12 years. Yesterday they had Joe Ryan going, who was named an All-Star on Saturday night. He and Byron Buxton both named to the All-Star team. The Yankees are bad right now. No Aaron Judge, no Giancarlo Stanton. Jazz Chisholm gets picked off. I don't know what he's doing. Meanwhile, Ryan was dealing. He became the first Twins pitcher to throw 7 shutout innings since Johan Santana did it in 2005. There are people on this show that weren't even born yet the last time that's happened. Meanwhile, the Twin offense got it going. Royce Lewis with a base hit. He would score a couple of runs. It's 4-0. How about they blow the doors off this game in the top of the 6th and the bases are loaded. Austin Martin at the plate. Yeah, how about a little bases loaded walk? Brings in a run. That makes it 5-0. Cody Clemens would add a sac fly to make it 6-rip. Hey, you take the runs however you can get them when you're playing in New York. That's after they bashed the Yankees on Saturday where Josh Bell hit home runs from each side of the plate. Ryan with a strikeout there to end the 7th. And the Minnesota Twins beat the Yankees 6-1. As I mentioned, first series win in New York since 2014. Ryan was spectacular. 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 9 strikeouts in the process, and guiding the Twins to take 2 of 3 after they scuffled with the Astros. Now, a hat tip to our guy Aaron Gleeman, who found this yesterday, and I wanted to bring this up. The last time the Twins won a series in New York, this was the starting lineup that the Twins trotted out that day. Brian Dozier leading off. Joe Mauer playing first base, batting second. Trevor Plouffe, who now broadcasts for the team, hitting third. Oswaldo Arcia playing right. Josh Willingham, the big free agent signee, the DH. Jason Kubel in left. Kurt Suzuki, who I believe was an all-star that year for the Twins in 2014, was the starting catcher. My favorite, former Met great Eduardo Escobar playing short. Aaron Hicks, future Yankee great, playing in center field. And Phil Hughes, another Yankee great, was the starting pitcher. Not even get me started what the Yankees were trotting out that year. Gardner, Jeter, Jacoby Ellsbury, Brian McCann. So Ichiro is playing for the Yankees. Did anybody remember that Ichiro played for the Yankees? Brian Roberts, Kelly Johnson, Chase Whitley on the mound. My gosh, there were some names. But they got a series win. And here's the crazy part, again, on the 6th of July. If you look at the standings in the American League wildcard race, the Minnesota Twins are right there. As much as I've wanted to bury them all season long, they're a game and a half back of Texas for the final wildcard spot. You have the Astros, a game back, and the Twins. Granted, there are only 4 teams above 500 in the bleeping American League to begin with. Mediocre is probably too generous a term to describe what the league has been. But the Twins are there. Off day today. The Guardians come to town tomorrow, and then the Angels and Mike Trout are here over the weekend. And that'll take us to the All-Star break, and then some decisions likely going to be made about this ball club. Remember, the trade deadline is a week later. It's the first weekend in August now for this year. We have a great show coming up for you here. Great to be back on this Monday. Our best of the weekend is coming up. We'll do that in just a couple minutes. 9:35, our friend Michael Breker will join us, former Shanley and South soccer head coach, charter member of the Fargo American Outlaws. Of course, that's the super group that cheers on the U.S. men's national team. Will give us the full Flo Balogun story from his perspective, what the crowds have been like downtown, and what to expect tonight for the matchup with Belgium. We'll do that at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, arguably you'd say maybe the best girls basketball player in the state of North Dakota for the class of 2027. She's got plenty of bragging rights about that. 2-time state champion, 2-time all-state selection. Katie Burchill will join us after she announced late last week, right before the holiday, her commitment to play for Carla Nelson and the MSU women's basketball team. Katie will join us coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:30 last week, I would say surprisingly, I got an email from the Mountain West Conference saying we would like you to vote for the preseason all-conference team. Now, they did not say to vote for the preseason poll. The league is not holding one. I'll get to that. But I am holding my own poll. We will unveil that coming up at about 10:35 this morning. Because, as I mentioned, summer's over. Football talk is here. And we'll dive into that before we wrap up the show. So, a lot to get to here on this Monday morning. We're glad you're joining us. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll salute our best of the weekend, including a couple of former Bison standouts doing some things. And Tom Hoagie was doing some things as well this weekend. Hot Mike returns after this. We do it each and every Monday, our best of the weekend. A little delayed here today because we had a lot to get to open up the show. I know you're all glued to the CFL as I am, as you should be, because there's a few Bison playing up there, including our guy Destin Talbot, who last year really broke on the scene for the Tiger Cats of Hamilton, Ontario. Last night playing Winnipeg on the first play of the game. To start things, Talbot comes up with a tremendous interception. Replay of this will do it justice. He intercepted former NFL quarterback Zach Collaros, who's starting quarterback for Winnipeg. He went up there and got it. Talbot will, of course, be remembered for the interception he had against James Madison in the semifinals in 2021. As I mentioned last night on Twitter, he's just carved out a really nice career in the CFL. Re-signed to a couple-year contract with Hamilton and become one of their better defensive players. Had 3 tackles last night. Hamilton ended up losing by 1 to Winnipeg in the Canada Day matchup. Canada Day is July the 1st, for those that don't know. So they had a big weekend across the CFL. That was the final game of the weekend between Winnipeg and Hamilton. And our guy Talbot making a couple of big plays for the Tiger Cats. Another former Bison was shining in the pro ranks last night. The NBA Summer League is underway. Now, this gets a bit convoluted because the actual physical Summer League starts later this week in Las Vegas, but they have like a preamble in either Utah or Golden State and San Francisco. Either way, Jackson Money is back playing with Golden State for the second straight summer. You'll remember Money did last year, spent this year with Golden State's NBA G League team. He was great last night. He had 18 points after a pretty good debut on Saturday, wearing number 40 there for the Warriors last night, and he had a really good first year in pro basketball. This can only help having a good summer league season to maybe get that two-way deal like Grant Nelson did. Grant is on the Brooklyn Nets summer league. Not sure if he's going to play as he rehabs from injury. But this has been the springboard. You know, Tyson Ward did it a couple summers ago for the San Antonio Spurs and elevated his game now to be the very top league in Europe is where Tyson Ward is playing. And, you know, we mentioned, and plenty of attention is on the former Bison football players that play pro football, specifically in the NFL. The amount of former Bison playing professional basketball all over the world is awfully darn impressive. I talked about it, I think, last summer when Rocky Cruiser joined us, that 9 guys off that 2019 NCAA tournament team are playing pro hoops somewhere. Goes to show you the level of talent that has come through here. Jackson Money is another example of that. We'll be keeping our eyes on him over the next couple weeks as the summer league gets rolling. Lastly, from the golf course this weekend, I know our Jeff Kolpak had a chance to catch up with Tom Hoagie before he teed off at the John Deere. Normally he has not played this event, but obviously he's scheduled a bit differently. He's not going to be playing in the Open Championship because he's gone over and played the Scottish Open, which is this week. So instead he played the John Deere just outside of Chicago in the Quad Cities. His moving day was pretty darn good. Had a couple of 3 straight rounds in the 60s. Backed it up yesterday. Again, this is one of those silly score tournaments where you got to be 20 to 25 under par. Chris Goddard ended up winning yesterday. He was 20 under. Hoagie ended up finishing in a tie for 33rd. Shot rounds of 73, 64 on Friday to make the cut. Then 67, as you're seeing on Saturday, and finished up with 69 yesterday. Here's the thing you need to know. Currently, he's 74th in the FedEx Cup standings. The top 70 make the FedEx Cup playoffs. So he's going to have to do something special here over the next couple weeks, which includes the 3M Open in 3 weeks' time at the end of the month in Chaska, that he's got to make something happen there to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs, which guarantees you into the signature events and all that. Granted, the tour is changing its format, which requires an abacus to figure that out, but just needs a couple of, even a top 5 will guarantee that. We'll see what happens. He played well at times in Connecticut last weekend, at times this week. It's just not been able to put 4 consistent rounds together. So we'll see what happens. But right now he's on the outside looking in to make the FedEx Cup playoffs, which begin in the first week of August, which is unfortunately right around the corner. Also right around the corner, our guy Michael Breker to join us to give us the full breakdown on tonight's match between the United States and Belgium and how the rest of the world may be cheering against us now after the decision to let Flo Balogun play. That's coming up when we return.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Off and rolling here on a Monday morning. Valley City's Katie Burchill will join us about a half hour, chat about her commitment to play basketball for the Dragons. Mentioned the story that's not stopping. In fact, it's taken over around the world. It's not just a sports story. It's become a political story. The President of the United States is talking about it right now as the USA men's national team will play tonight against Belgium in the round of 16. Watch party will be held down in Broadway Square in downtown Fargo. The American Outlaws, the Fargo chapter, is hosting it. One of the founding members, I believe, of the American Outlaw chair here in Fargo, the chapter, I should say. Former Shanley, South. I'm trying to think of other stops he's had coaching soccer in town. Michael Breker joins us here this morning to give us the lowdown. So, I'll just get it out there. We know how corrupt FIFA is as an organization. They put the World Cup in Qatar, for God's sake. So what do we make of the president getting involved and apparently putting his thumb on FIFA to let Balogun play?
I'm first, as a fan, I'm glad something has changed. I mean, I think the red card overall was probably done incorrectly, but I'm going to take some heat for this. It really bugs me that it went down this way. Yeah. There's no real formal appeal process, so the way this was done was basically just make a phone call from someone with clout. And I told you previously that I'm a middle child. Equity means so much to me, and I think if you're Paraguay and you're seeing this happen, you're thinking we never would have had this happen to us. And so that does bum me out that it has to be this way. And I think it puts the U.S. in a lose-lose situation. Yes. If you win, it's like, well, you had to cheat to win, or you had to get your way to win. And if you lose, it's like, oh, look at that, you tried to cheat the system and you still lost. So it's a bummer from the U.S. point of view. But Balogun didn't do anything wrong in regards to the review process. He just wants to play. And again, as a fan, I'm excited to watch him play. But the way this went down does rub me the wrong way.
And obviously, the Belgians are red hot. They filed an appeal. I don't know if. Can they force a forfeit? Where do they go from here? I don't know what happens tonight now.
I mean, I think once they make a decision, again, I just saw the same thing you saw. Probably they're appealing now. Assuming once the game is played, whatever happens, and someone wins, someone loses. But right until then, what are we going to find out 15 minutes before the game that he's no longer able to play, or 2 hours before the game, or are they even going to make a comment and say, "Nah, we've reviewed it, he's fine"? I couldn't tell you, but corrupt was the right word that you used earlier.
Mike, we're watching the replay of what happened in the Bosnia match. For those that aren't soccer fans, give us why this was called, Eric, if we can put the replay back up, why it was called a red card and what how the VAR was not used correctly in the process.
I'm going to use some of the terminology maybe incorrectly. Someone like Connor Dunn, Matt Von Pinan would probably know the actual terminology, but it's something along the lines of, if it's a red card, there has to be too much force. It has to be dangerous, has to be reckless. And so essentially what happened was it happened in the middle of the play. He kind of stepped on his foot or stepped on his leg, and it happened really fast. From the looks of it, it didn't look too crazy in real time and real speed. But then, of course, they got the VAR out and they were able to slow it down and single frame it. And then, of course, it looks really, really terrible. Yeah. And so I think what the ref saw was, there was power to it. It was, too much aggression, could have hurt somebody. Intent doesn't really matter, but at the same time, anybody can step on someone's leg accidentally going for a ball. That could happen. But in fact, Messi, a few days before, did almost the exact same thing, and there was no call at the time. There was no VAR, just went through it. And so I think that was kind of the issue that fans had was when you slow it down, you look at it, of course it's going to look really bad, but there was no intent there. Anyone can step on anybody's foot at the wrong time.
As far as I understood it, Mike, you can't use VAR in slow motion either, right? It has to be used in full speed, is how I understood it.
I don't know that. I think the idea of VAR was you're supposed to only overturn things when it's like a clear and obvious
Blatant,
error.
yeah.
And to me, that's where it's like, I mean, it's not like you're playing basketball and you shoot it from the free throw line and they call it a three. The ref made a call in real life time. That's the call he made. And I think as you look at that, clear and obvious to me does not make sense that would be a red card.
So to go back to your last point, and I made this off the start of the show, it seems to me like, you mentioned the U.S. is a lose-lose scenario, that we went from the plucky underdog that people may have been cheering for us to now everyone is rooting against us. I get that sense for tonight's match.
News is that the United States is hosting the World Cup. And so hopefully they don't feel that while they're playing, live, but I'm sure social media is going to be ridiculing them. Everyone that's not a U.S. fan has probably now turned to the opposite side of that. So I think, as a professional soccer player, you probably try to drown out as much of that as possible and just do the best you can do. But it really is unfortunate that a team that's been playing so well, they've been super fun to watch. The energy has been awesome. I mean, the crowds we've been getting downtown have been fantastic, and just so much, whether it's bandwagon or that's just people coming out of the woodwork to join it, it's been awesome. And now for this to happen to kind of overshadow the positive vibes going on is a tough break.
So for Balogun, describe like the mentality here. He goes from yesterday at 9 a.m. I'm not playing to noon I am. How does that change for both the United States and for the Belgian team?
Well, I think if you're probably worse off if you're Belgium, because Belgium was definitely game planning without him.
Yes.
What are they going to do now? Are they going to put Pepe up there? Are they going to do something different formation-wise? And so for the U.S., I think you're more, we've been training this way for this method, and so maybe it's just we're reverting back to what we were planning on doing before. So it's probably easier for the U.S. to adjust that. But if you're Belgium, you're pretty mad, I would have to imagine.
It's just great. This is just, you got to transcend sports of what is happening here. And now this Belgian team, Mike, wiped the floor with us 3 months ago. What do we expect would happen here tonight, regardless of who's playing and who's not?
3 months ago, when you watched the United States national team play in these friendlies and kind of leading up to the World Cup, people were not excited.
No.
People were not thrilled. The games were not fun to watch. They didn't look like they had any idea what they wanted to do going forward. Defensively, we were wondering who was going to be playing what position. And so that definitely happened 3 months ago, but I think with the momentum they have going, they've been so fun to watch going forward. Just ideas and creativity, and not only that, but execution finally to match the creativity has been so exciting. It's soccer, so I use the word fickle all the time to describe soccer. To me, it's a coin toss, but I'm going to go 51% USA.
I got to talk about what this entire tournament has been. I was in Chicago last week, obviously a major metropolitan city. You couldn't go 5 feet without seeing somebody wearing a different color jersey, whether it was a Mexican jersey. Messi jerseys were everywhere. Spain jerseys, Ronaldo jerseys, and it hit me. Obviously, with plenty of U.S. jerseys as well. Just this has gripped the country, and I think for non-soccer fans, it's gripped them as well. Granted, there's no other live sporting events happening right now, but I think it's gotten people that aren't soccer fans to watch. Have you seen that from your parties you guys have had?
I mean, if you could see the amount of people at the parties and just the different area they come from in regards to soccer. We have officials, we have coaches, we have little kids, there's a teacher at Davies who I wasn't even aware was a soccer fan, who's been to each game and is sitting with us at the tables and enjoying it. So it's really great to see. There's new fans, but I think at the same time, there's fans that were maybe they didn't know enough to know where to watch it. Maybe they were at home watching a game in December by themselves, or they were watching a Gold Cup game last year with 2 other people. Now I think this just brings the opportunity for you to see, and make that connection when you're walking down the street. Oh, I see you wearing a Neymar jersey. I see you wearing a Messi jersey. And now you can have that little brief connection just in passing. So I think some of them come out of the woodwork, but I think some of them are brand new, and that's great too.
Well, I have this. My son, who's 7, told me, Dad, I know who Messi is. I'm like, how? I've not talked about it. Oh yeah, guys at school talked about him. I know he's the GOAT. I'm like, I was blown away when my son said that. You mentioned the watch parties. They've gone down at Broadway Square. We've been down there to get some video. Give us what that has been like, Mike, and what do we expect tonight, weather pending, of what could be a pretty wild scene tonight?
So, like a few years ago, they had those viral scenes of the U.S. scoring against Algeria and crowds going crazy.
Yes.
And so you earlier mentioned a founding member of American Outlaws. I'm not a founding member, but we did, between Ben Schneeweiss and me and Ian Costello, we kind of took the chapter over about 6-7 months ago, and we thought let's do that. Let's try to get that viral moment. Let's get people to celebrate together and enjoy. And we know people want to watch it. I just don't think they always know where to go or what to do. And so this is just one of those ideas where we met up with Folkways and we said, hey, what can we do together? And Folkways at the same time said we were thinking the same thing. And so between lots of communications and prepping and planning, it's been a long time coming to get these. And we were like, I hope there's 200-300 people. That'd be really fun. And so for 600-700 to show up, and just the excitement and families and all the different people that come out together to watch it has been awesome. If you go down there, the atmosphere is great. It's electric. People are cheering when they score. People are screaming. We're getting USA chants going. We're getting kids up on the stage celebrating goals. It's been really, really fun.
So I know the Turkey A match started at 9, but it's still, you guys had a really good turnout for that, right?
Yeah, that was, and there were definitely less kids. But no, I think it was a Friday night. The summer had started.
Yeah.
And so, if you're a Lakes family, maybe you were gone, but we were very impressed with that 9 o'clock game. Again, a lot of adults and just the foot traffic kind of walking by. That's another thing with downtown is if you're on Broadway and you hear this noise and you see this going on, you might stop your car or turn the way you're walking and come over and enjoy it with us. And that's been really fun to see too.
Couple last minutes here with Mike Breker. All right, so just that alone, what has surprised you about the amount of people that have turned out? How many, have you have an estimate of how many people have come for some of these events?
Yeah, we've been batting that number back and forth.
Yeah.
So we were hoping for a low number because we wouldn't be disappointed. But there's been some software that has, some cameras downtown that kind of estimate the number of people. And that software said over 1,000 on one of those first nights.
Whoa.
And in our minds, we thought, that seems like a lot. So I don't know if that was catching the people just walking up and down the street. But I think the number we're hearing is, and feeling good about is 600-700 people.
Holy cow.
And that's, it's been great. And again, there's street vendors serving food. The hotel is serving beverages. And so I think there's just kind of someone for everyone. There's a standing room only for people that are really, really engaged in the game. And on the other side of the concourse, there's some, you can bring your own chairs and there's some general seating you can sit in. There's some picnic tables. And so really whatever your excitement level is, you can stand up in the front and be part of the crew that's cheering and throwing their beverages up in the air. You can be kind of off to the side with your family. And so, family friendly, but at the same time, intense. It's been fun.
So for you, can you commiserate with people or, hey, don't bug me when I'm watching the match?
I'm going to be honest with you. I would probably like to watch the match more, but at the same time, when you're when you're trying to set it up and you're trying to get the word out, and a lot of people in the soccer community, I end up, meandering around, mingling a little bit, talking to these people. Oh, I haven't seen this person for a while. Or, I coach a lot of soccer, so I get some kids that walk up and they want to chat too. And so, no, I don't mind either one of them. Both are great. We love seeing the people there. We love seeing the smiles and people appreciating what's been put on in front of them. But at the same time, as the games get more and more here, I definitely want to have my eyes up on the screen.
All right, so if they win tonight, it would be either Portugal or Spain, which would be out of this world because it's either Ronaldo or Spain. Last I checked is really good. What would be the fever pitch leading up to that on, I think Friday is when they would play again?
You kind of hit the nail on the head. I think for the kids in the audience, the idea that they could play against Ronaldo would be like besides Messi, Ronaldo's 1B if you're gonna list them out. I think the kids would be really excited for that Ronaldo matchup. I think the soccer people in town are hoping, well, frankly, that it's probably Portugal too, because I don't want to see Spain. They finally have started to look more like the Spain that we're used to, and they're clicking. And it's once Spain gets the ball, it's tough to get the ball back off their feet. So I think, that would be an amazing matchup in the quarterfinal. Either one of those would be a fantastic for a fan perspective.
Are we winning tonight? What do you think?
100%. I said 51 earlier. I downshot 100%. We're winning that. No doubt about it. Write it down. Put it in the bank. Whatever
it's on tape. There we go. I know you're a busy man. Thanks so much for doing this. Have a blast tonight, and we'll talk again soon. Okay.
Thanks for having me. We really, really appreciate it.
Good to see you, bud. There he is, Michael Breker, joining us, former high school soccer coach in the area, obviously part of the American Outlaws. I did a story on the Outlaws, I want to say it was 10 years ago, when the Fargo chapter really got going. They used to have it up at Hurton Horns. I had a blast. They were playing, and I want to say it was the Copa America, and the United States lost to Messi. They played Argentina, but I was up there, did a whole story for the news. One of my favorite stories I had a chance to do, and it was a blast. Mike was up there, and it was so much fun. And I encourage, if you're looking for a chance to commiserate and visit with people, watch the match tonight, that should be a heck of a spot, weather pending, of what that can be here later tonight. All right, we're overdue for a break. We'll get caught up here. We'll wrap up our first hour. Mentioned Katie Burchill coming up in hour 2, and the Mountain West preseason poll, Izzo edition. That's coming up in hour 2 as well. Back after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Thanks to Mike Breker for giving us a few minutes there. That was good stuff. Known Mike for a long time, and fun to see the ordinary sports fans getting as excited as they are for soccer. It's just been a crazy last run here over the last nearly month, and we still got a couple more weeks to go with it. We got a few emails. I'm going to stay for the second hour because we're almost up against a break here to wrap up the first hour. The official NBA league year begins in about an hour, so you will see a flurry if you follow on social media or email or whatever like that. If you're an official super uber fan like of the Wolves, the LaMelo Ball trade will become official. They'll release Josh Green. A couple other signings will become official because the league year starts now. All those trades that went down on the NBA draft, which was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, become official today. Don't ask me why they do it this way. I think they could probably remedy it and start the league year right before the draft starts, but that's conversation for another time. But those all become official at 11:01 Central Time. So later this morning, all that will take place. All right, let's break. We come back. Speaking of hoops, one of the best players in North Dakota has made her choice. Katie Burchill from Valley City, two-time state champ, will join us about committing to play for Carla Nelson of the Dragons. It's coming up when we start our second hour on a Monday morning. We're back after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll here on a Monday morning. Do our official Mountain West preseason poll. Do that in about a half hour. So I was waiting for our next guest to make it official, knowing full well there were different colleges after. I got a chance to watch her play over the last couple of years as Valley City has had a great run in girls basketball in North Dakota over the last couple of years, continuing a great tradition and great players out of Valley City. Katie Burchill is her name, and she announced over the holiday weekend that she will play basketball in the NSIC for Carla Nelson and the Minnesota State University Moorhead Dragons, and she joins us this morning to chat about that. First, congratulations. I hope you had I'm sure this made the holiday weekend that much better. Tell me about the phone call to Carla and how this all came about.
It was really exciting, having the nerve to call her up and it's like, yeah, I chose to be a Dragon. And obviously she's excited. She's excited to have me, and I'm excited to be with her.
So was this timed out with a holiday, or just this was the time to make the decision?
I've been kind of ready to make my decision. I've been thinking a lot about my different schools and the pros and cons, and just I was ready to make my decision. So it was good to have the 4th to be with friends and family.
A little extra celebration then after making the decision?
Yeah, it was fun. To know my family all knows and my friends, it's good.
All right, so tell us about the other end of the call. How was Coach Nelson? How did she react when you told her?
She was excited. I could tell she had a big smile on her face, and just really excited.
So what stood out to you about MSUM? I know you've had a bunch of schools looking at you. Why was the Dragons the right fit?
I know they use their post game a lot, and that's my style of play. The more I'm comfortable of the 4 and the 5, and I know they know how to work with that and play with that because they've been doing it for years, and they have a really good program, and hopefully you can win some games.
When they came into the mix, was that automatically, when they started recruiting you, was that a school that just popped out to you?
Kind of. They're the first school that ever contacted me. So that was kind of special in my eyes. And we would go there every summer for team camp for my high school team. So seeing them there and playing in the gym, it was really fun.
So this almost seemed like they were the first to interest. Was that something you stored in the back of your mind when all the other schools got involved?
Yeah, they've been talking to me since state my sophomore year. So it's been a long journey with them.
I guess so. That's a long time ago. It's a couple of state championships ago. Tell me and have this over and done with. What your emotion this morning? What does it feel like?
Lots of relief. It's obviously exciting, like knowing that I have a plan for my future and knowing what's going to happen next, and not that weariness of not knowing, and just to have that structure.
All right, I got to ask, this sounds, crazy to ask, but the last 2 years you guys have won it. What has that been like to go out there knowing everybody's trying to beat you guys, and yet you've won it back-to-back years?
It means a lot to our program and to our girls. It brings us closer. Having that state experience just like brings your team closer, and you're like, why not go back again next year? Like, it's always keeping that open mind of like, we can do this, and like, it's an opportunity that we need to take advantage of. I
got to ask, Katie, I don't know how much you paid attention to it, but when the 3-class system came about, granted, you were probably in 7th or 8th grade, that this was going to be a reality. I mean, obviously, it was going to impact Valley City directly. Do you remember hearing about that and how that was going to change who Valley City was going to play now?
Yeah, so the last year we were in so it'd be AA now, but just regular A.
Right.
I was an 8th grader, and I have had family in the past play, and it's just not as fun because the games are a little harder. And it's just knowing that we can have a winning program now with the 3-class system means like a lot to our program, and like the younger kids coming up doesn't have to watch basketball that shouldn't be happening.
So did you notice right away a talent change or a confidence change with your group? Say, okay, we can compete now. The EDC, we can compete at this level.
Yeah, our confidence definitely went up, after winning the first couple of games.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, we can do this. Like, this is going to be a fun year. And it was. The past 3 years have been great.
I imagine so when you win it back-to-back years. What is that like going out every night, like a night in December and January, knowing if you're on the road, everybody is cheering against you, and they're certainly looking for where you are on the floor? What is that like?
I kind of like it because it kind of like feels you like, oh, everyone wants to beat you. Like, prove them wrong. Like, oh, you're going to lose this game. Okay, prove them wrong. Like, everyone's your worst enemy until you beat them, and then they can't really say much anymore.
You feed off of that?
Yeah, I do personally.
Is that something you've seen? Did you play better when there's more people booing, or that it's a hostile environment?
Kind of. It gets to a point, but still knowing like, oh, I don't know, when they like talk negative about you, and then you always want to prove them wrong. Like, no one really likes to have that.
Is there a certain spot that is more aggressive than others, say? Like, you go on the road, like, okay, we know this is going to be a tough environment tonight.
There's a couple, not going to lie, but
you can name, go ahead and name names. Go ahead, do it. Is there a place you don't like playing? Go for it.
Oak Grove.
Okay.
Sometimes can be kind of tough, but a couple student sections can get after it a little bit, but otherwise, like, state always has like the opposite student section. You have to warm up in front of them. They like to say a couple things. And
is that something you file away during the game? Like, okay, I heard you. Now watch this.
Yeah, kind of a little bit. I kind of zone out during the game too.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of, student sections don't really bother me as much, but you definitely hear them during the game, and they say some comments that aren't very nice.
I have to ask, this sounds crazy considering you've won back-to-back titles. Which one was sweeter to you, the first one or this past year?
I think this past year, because I felt like there's more environment at Jamestown, because I think we had more fans because it was so close. So, and then like the shorter drive back, and then everyone was like welcoming us back into town, and it was just like a really cool experience. Even though Minot was our first one, so like that always has a special place in your heart because it was the first championship.
Valley City's got some amazing basketball history. To be part of that, what's that mean to you that you guys have done this the last 2 years?
It means a lot, and I'm just so excited because I liked watching like little girls say like, oh my gosh, I want to play basketball now. Like that means like a lot to me, and like knowing that it's thriving in our program and we can build off of it, and just great.
I'm trying not to wish the summer away on you, but have you thought about, okay, doing this again? We got to load up and try and go for a three-peat for your senior year?
Yeah, I do think about that, but you can't go into it with that mindset. You have to like, we need to work hard for everything we got. We obviously lost a lot, but we also gained a lot. So we do have a smaller team this year, so it'll be interesting of how that goes. And just like knowing like you have to work hard for everything you get. It's not just going to be handed to you. And yeah, you still need to be the better team.
I know we were visiting off air. You're in the middle of AAU season. You play for the Sanford Sports Academy. You're traveling all over the place. How has AAU helped you for your high school game and vice versa?
I think it makes you more aggressive. AAU is kind of a rougher game, and then having that ability to bring into like regular season is good, except for when you get fouls, but it only happens sometimes. But I think also the versatility, you're playing with girls that are all around from like the best people in the state. And it's just a really fun environment to like be able to play with those girls and against those girls. And like, wow, this team's really good. Like, but sometimes you have like a shot and like you need to take after it. And then it's like taught me to run the court, be more versatile, like coming from the 3-point line. I usually play back to the basket in high school, and like AAU, I'm playing on the perimeter sometimes with certain people, and it just makes you learn different styles to play.
I know you mentioned earlier you zone out during a game. I'm interested, though, for AAU ball, knowing there are college coaches or assistant everywhere, is it hard to block that out when you're playing?
Sometimes you get irritated, but again, like, oh, I did bad on that play. Like, I need to do better on the next one. And it like fuels me to like just be better at every play of the game. And I try not to notice it, but it is hard but I'm hoping now that I've made my decision, like it's all good now.
So I have to imagine, like, I'd be nervous. I mean, have you ever felt like before committing, did you feel nervous? Like, I got to play well. I know so-and-so's in the stands. I want to play really well in this game.
Yeah, definitely. They're always watching, and like, you need to have good attitude. Like, you have to have all these things, like, I get nervous at least. And then I think it does affect my style of play when I play and like playing nervous, but I try to block it out as much as I can. And then just like once you get into the flow of the game, it's really fun.
Now, see, this is my attitude. I'm not speaking for you. Like, if I know there's a college coach, I want the ball. Give it to me. I'm going to be jacking three. Like, I want to take as many shots as possible. How do you guard against that? Like, you don't want to be a ball hog either.
Yeah. I personally I don't know. I like passing the ball. I like getting the kickouts for threes, like into the post. Oh, someone's wide open. Like, got it, pass it to them. Yeah. And so that's also different with AAU. A lot of people like the ball, and like against like other teams, it's like, oh, shut this person down. They're not going to pass it. Yeah. Like,
I am interested for you playing down low, especially after going to this past season, knowing you weren't sneaking up on anybody. How did you handle knowing there were going to be double teams, maybe triple teams some nights? And now going forward for this season, you certainly are known that kind of defense is coming your way.
It's known like when there's a double team, there's someone open. Yeah. Like, you need to pass the ball. Like, you can't you're not going to score if you're going into so many people. Like, you need to find the open girl, and then once they start hitting a couple threes, it opens it up for you. So like, you have to think of, if you give it to them, they're going to give it back to you.
Couple last minutes with Katie here. I appreciate you doing this morning. So the NSIC is really, really good. That's not breaking news. You certainly know that. Describe that challenge of going in, knowing some of the best women's basketball teams in the country are playing in the league you're going into.
I'm really excited. It's like different style of play, different level, different intensity. I'm ready for that jump, I think. And just knowing like it's a good program, like we could win a lot, and it's just knowing that opportunity is there.
Are you excited to have this done? And like, okay, you mentioned to me off air, you got a couple AAU tournaments left to go and just stay. Now you can go shoot a few more threes. You don't have to worry about it now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is definitely a relief, just knowing that it's done. I have my future, and then I can just have fun the rest of the AAU season. I don't need to be worried about who's watching or like who's not watching and all this like secondhand stuff that doesn't really matter anymore. And I can just like have fun with my friends, my family about the rest of the summer.
All right. So what's the either the coolest or most fun destination you've played in for AAU ball?
I went to Las Vegas one year.
Okay. That'll work.
So that's the furthest I've gone. I've either gone to Chicago or Las Vegas, but I've never been to either of those places, I guess. But we're going back to Chicago, so Las Vegas was definitely a lot of fun. I played with some good girls. I played up, so I didn't have the greatest opportunity because I was behind them. But it was a great experience for me, and my coaches were great. It was a lot of fun.
You got a chance to see parts of the country you never probably thought you would at that age, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Last thing before we go, what did you do to celebrate this week? I mean, they had the 4th of July. What did you guys do to celebrate your commitment?
So I went to the lake with my friends, and we went on the surf boat and just had a good time. Like, I haven't really had much downtime this summer so far, so it was nice to go to the lake and relax and just have free time.
So are you planning on doing all 3 sports? I know you play volleyball. I think you do track as well. Are you loading up for all 3 for your senior year as well?
I'll definitely do volleyball. I only did track my freshman year, but it's always like, oh, should I do it? Should I not?
Yeah.
I haven't done it the past 2 years. I've been working off an injury, so I'm kind of like using that spring as a break time because I've had summer basketball. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do track this year. I haven't decided fully yet, but.
Well, it's not like you have a lot of downtime anyway. You put your feet up because I know you don't. But I appreciate you doing this morning. Congratulations on your commitment. Have fun the rest of the summer in AAU, and we'll look forward to watching you play for Valley City again this winter, all right?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, there she is, Katie Burchill from Valley City, North Dakota. 2-time first-team All-State selection. 2-time state champion for Valley City. She was the state tournament MVP in Jamestown this past year, and now a member of Carla Nelson's MSUM commitment class for 2027. Those kind of players that Carla has feasted on for her time at MSUM, to get those kind of players that like to play in the post, be physical. Taryn Johnson is a perfect example. Taryn was a great player at Kindred. We all know that. Went on and had a great career. I can't believe it. I think it's over now at MSUM. How old am I? For the Dragons. That's the kind of player that Katie can and be the same kind that what Taryn Johnson was out of Kindred, that she can be out of Valley City. And be fun to watch. Valley City, again, will be very, very good with her leading the way. And a reminder, the Class A tournament this year has been moved to Bismarck State, the brand new basketball arena, the Bavendick Center, which will host, I believe, the Lions game Wednesday night? Question mark. I believe it's Wednesday, but the Lions, typically the Lions only go Monday, Tuesday. They changed it up to go Wednesday, Thursday this year, but I believe it's Wednesday night that they play out in Bismarck at the brand new Bavendick Center. I believe that might be the first basketball games they're having in that facility. That's where the Class A tournament will be in March of 2027. Stands to reason that we imagine that Valley City will be part of that after having Katie back for her senior year. Appreciate her joining us here for a few minutes. All right, we'll break. We come back. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but we'll give a quick recap from the vacation of 2026 that included dinosaurs, sweating, and the Cubs hit 8 home runs. We're back on Hot Mic right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Katie Burchill for giving us a few minutes. Mountain West preseason poll. We'll do that in about 10 minutes' time here on the big show before we say goodbye on a Monday here. We know plenty of people out of the office, either extended holiday break or back to work today. That is the case for myself after being gone last week. Now, I started the show chatting a little bit about our trip. And just to not tread over a lot of territory on this, because I know if people roll their eyes to the back of the head, they don't want to hear about other people's vacations. It's very similar, like people don't want to hear about other people's fantasy football league teams. They just don't. It's conversation. Like there's a cursory interest in it, but they're not really interested, right? So I say this with all that being said. Now, last year, when we attempted to go back to New York to see my family, we had the trip from hell. We just did, trying to get out of Fargo. We were stuck in Fargo for 10 hours. Let me tell you something. Even with the remodeled Hector International, I don't know what you do with a 6-year-old for 10 hours at the airport. We could not leave because United kept delaying it for half an hour. Hey, I'll be ready in half an hour. And then turned in we got there at 9 a.m. We left at eventually 6:30 that night, which it turned into a whole kerfuffle. We had to spend the night in Chicago because we missed our connecting plane. Got up the next morning. The Jackman was a trooper through all this. We took the shuttle back to O'Hare, went through security, had to hop on a flight from there to Washington, D.C., got to Washington, D.C. They canceled our connecting plane to Syracuse. I got us a rental car. We drove the 7 hours from D.C. up through, if you know your geography, through Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York. Bam. United felt so bad, they gave us a whole $200 credit because they canceled our returning flight. We got to New York and I find out we couldn't fly home. I had to book a one-way ticket, which this day and age is not a cheap endeavor to get us back to Moorhead. Anyway, we had a $200 credit that we had to use by July 1. And I said to my wife, well, hey, why don't we do Chicago? That's a special town for us. I asked Courtney to marry me there 10 years ago now. Her mom's side of the family is from there. Jack would love it. We could maybe do the Cubs. There's some great dinosaur museums that he would love. And we said, okay, we're going to do it. So we spent our credit there and ended up being a great time. We got to do a little bit of everything. We got all the tourist destination things, all of them out of the way. And I will give the little man credit for this because he is certainly strong-willed like his mom and dad are. There were a couple things he wasn't going to budge on, the Sears Tower and the Ferris wheel at Navy Pier, because they're both super high up. And I have total credit for that because I'm scared to death of heights as well. I conquered both of them on a separate trip before, but those aren't my cup of tea. But we did do a few other things. We had a couple shots here of what we had a chance to do. This is at the Children's Museum. He loves his dinosaurs. So he was telling other people, he was telling grown adults about what the dinosaurs were. We did the boat tour. We got all the touristy things in that we could. We also was 1,000 degrees every day. Every day seemed hotter than the last. We had an extreme heat warning. We got there Tuesday. It didn't expire till Friday at midnight. If you saw the flooding that happened at Wrigley Field, that was one of the storms that rolled through. It didn't happen. That was us at Wrigley. That was the day they scored 23 runs. The Cubs hit 8 home runs in a game. This picture is a special one because that's the spot where I asked Court to marry me, right on the water, and we had a chance to recreate that with the Jackman there. So that was pretty neat. So all in all, pretty solid deal. And we had a great time, ate some unbelievable food, and enjoyed it. And now, as I mentioned, it's back to the grind. And apparently, for the second year in a row, I missed some major breaking news. 2 years ago, it was the NDSU opting into the House settlement happened when I was gone last summer on July 1. This July 1, I already knew that NDSU was officially going to be an FBS member on July 1. What I didn't know, I had heard rumblings about it before I had left, and it wasn't confirmed, and we broke the news on Hot Mic, which was awesome. I appreciate Riley sharing it with everyone, that WDAY is going to be able to broadcast Bison Athletics again, starting next month. I think we have 2 soccer games right away in August that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be able to do the 2 football games next fall, the UTEP game and the Fordham game, which we're over the moon on that. Bison Game Day is going to be back. So the band will get back together. It'll look a little different, obviously, with some constrictions on travel, and we're still figuring out how that's going to look. But the same, I would say, temperament of the show, the same way the show is constructed is going to be the same. So that's really exciting. I was really pumped that we can keep doing basketball. Basketball, I love doing the play-by-play for that. The teams have been really good. Obviously, each Bison team is coming off a Summit League championship. I think there's real momentum specifically on Jory's team on the women's side. David's team has got some interesting pieces that have been added in a league that will look different with one team gone. Now you're down to 8 with Denver gone. That we're really excited to keep doing this. And we got a lot of positive messages when I was in Chicago last week from different people that either are in the Summit League or around FCS football that know the kind of job we do. And I'm really excited for the fans of the Mountain West to get a sense of what we do. You know, I've seen a couple of broadcasts from the local, not the CBS and the Fox broadcasts, of the other locals that do games out of Hawaii, out of San Jose, out of Albuquerque. And I'd put ours right up there with all of them. And I'm excited for those viewers in other markets to see what we do with the technology we have, with the camera operators we have, with the graphics we have, replay that we have. I can't wait to show that off to the rest of the league. That will be a lot of fun. So more than excited about that. And we'll share more info as we have it in terms of what things are going to look like. But the same on-air team that you got used to over the last couple of years will be back again. And couldn't be more excited. And for the people that don't like my play-by-play, you get 3 more years of it. So you can pause and mute me however you want to do it. Fine by me. That comes with the territory of doing it. So that was fun news to get while I was on break last week. All right, we're overdue here, bottom of the hour. Let's break. We come back. Speaking of football, the Mountain West asked for its all-conference teams. They didn't ask for a preseason poll. I'm giving you one anyway. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns after this.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So, last week, as I was getting ready for, we were in Chicago. Email came in from the Mountain West League office, which I always, stand up here and grab attention to it because it's new, with the headline of the preseason ballot. And I was a bit surprised. I'm like, wow, okay. I didn't think I would get one. So thank you for being a member of the media panel voting on the 2026 preseason All Mountain West football team. And went through who you had to vote for. It's just for those who will see it when it comes out 2 weeks from tomorrow when we're in Vegas for Mountain West Media Days. It's 28 players. There's no first and second teams. It's one 28-member all-conference team will be selected. You'll also be asked to vote on offensive, defensive, and special teams preseason player of the year awards. I didn't have any restriction on who I could and couldn't vote for. The league, though, did announce in a separate email that the Mountain West will not release a preseason predicted order of finish this year due to conference realignment. And that struck me. I ended up writing a story about that last week because they are the first to just go right out and say it. The Big 12 stopped doing its preseason poll last year after they got egg on their face when everyone picked Arizona State to finish last, and then they went and won it. They went in the college football playoff, remember, and they scared the heck out of Texas, all that good stuff. So last year, about this time, the Big 12 said, we're not doing one. And there's been a couple others that have joined suit in that. The Big 10 has never done one. And now the Mountain West, we're the first to come out and say, because of conference realignment, we're not doing it. The Summit League was in the same boat. The Summit, you'll remember, last year, 2025, when Omaha won that preseason ballot, Omaha was picked to finish last. And that was, of course, the big story throughout the whole year. Omaha goes and wins the regular season title. They win the conference championship and go to the NCAAs for the first time. Did I feel like I get my – no. Basketball is so ridiculous to try and do one. If they were to say we're not doing one anymore, I would understand. Football's a little different. I think you have enough information on teams. You can get enough information on teams nowadays that you can reasonably pick 10, right? If it's the Big Ten with 20 or the SEC with 16, that gets a bit, like, I don't know how you pick 11 through 16 in that league, or 8 through 16. 10, you should be able to figure out a way. And I was not going to be undaunted from that. So I put my ballot in, and we can discuss that probably maybe tomorrow or sometime later in the week if we so choose. But I definitely want to do a preseason poll because that's a way to go back in November or December and say, whoa, we were way off here. Or we were right on. Sometimes it's a way to pat yourself on the back, which in the media world, we never get sick of doing that. So with that said, this is what I have for my preseason ballot. Then again, remember, the league isn't doing one. So if you see this circulating, this is mine. That's why it says my name right on it. I picked New Mexico to win the league. I think Jason Eck's team has the most complete team. They have the most returners back. They have their starting quarterback back, which goes a long way. Jack Lang is back. Of course, he's a FCS transfer, much like Eck is from Idaho. He brought his son, Jackson Eck, as a great linebacker. He's the defensive preseason player of the year, in my opinion, in the league. I think New Mexico has the best chance to win it. They also have the most favorable schedule. New Mexico hosts UNLV. They host North Dakota State. They've got all those teams coming their way. And they get Air Force there. They have to go to Hawaii. They have to play Oklahoma in the non-con. But the 3 of the 4 biggies in the conference come to Albuquerque this year. UNLV is everybody's trendy pick with Dan Mullen back for his second year. They have Jackson Arnold, the high-profile quarterback transfer on his 3rd different school, started at Oklahoma, went to Auburn. Now he's a running rebel. If he can figure it out, UNLV will be awfully good. Jaden Thomas, the running back, is outstanding. They have some questions on defense that have to be answered, and line play have to be answered. Their schedule is nothing. Their first game is against Memphis. That's a really good game. After the Bison game wraps on August the 29th, you get home from the Dome that night, put on Memphis UNLV. It's a little different than telling everybody, hey, put on North Carolina A&T and Mercer. No, watch Memphis and UNLV. 9 o'clock, I think it starts on Fox after the Bison game is done. That's going to be a great game. We'll find out a heck of a lot about UNLV. They also host Cal the week before they host the Bison. So that's 2 tough games there. They have to go to Hawaii the week after they play Memphis. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. They could be 0-2 after the first 2 weeks of the season. Or if they get the 2 wins, then look out. If they are able to beat Memphis and then go to Hawaii and win, we'll see. Their line play will be a major question mark to me throughout the year. I picked NDSU 3rd. If you want to say this is a homer pick, there's been worse things said about me. It's fine. I think the Bison line play is going to be very good. I think offensive line, I know they got to replace a couple starters, and we'll get more into this as we get closer to the start of the season. I think their offensive line is going to be just fine. I do. I know they were moving guys around all season long last year, having Griffin Empey back. I think Babbitt's is going to be a year better. I really think they have Kenny Anene is going to be fine on the right side. I think Tosted's going to be better this year. Just from the people I've talked to about it, I think they're going to be better on offensive line. Defensive line could be the best in the league. D-line with Keenan Wilson, Logan Larson, Elijah Wayne, Zach Vanderpool in the middle. That's a good start. I really like Matthew Stenbrotten on one side with Kelton McCaslin. Linebacker with Donovan Woolen up the middle, and you got Darius Givens on the back end. Up the middle, they are really solid. They're going to have a new middle linebacker, Keith Williams, the transfer from Cornell. Likely he's going to be their starter at middle linebacker. I think they're going to be all right. Obviously, we know the schedule is what it is. They got to go to Air Force. They got to go to Honolulu. They got to go to Albuquerque, and they got to go to Vegas. I think they can get 2 of those. Which two? I'm not ready to pin down on yet, but I think they can get 2 of those. At number 4, I got Hawaii. Hawaii won 9 games a year ago. Micah Alahado is their quarterback, a lefty, big guy who can throw. He was hobbled most of the year last year. He still threw for 3,100 yards and 24 touchdowns on a bum leg. They got an outstanding slot receiver. They have questions on their defense, though. They lost a lot of guys. Their schedule, they got to play at Stanford. They got to play at Arizona State. Those are not easy games. I know Stanford is what they are, and they got a new coach there for this year. But those are easy trips. Now, granted, I mentioned already the teams that got to go there. UNLV's got to go there. North Dakota State's got to go there. Automatically, just visiting with Craig Bowles, we did in the spring, that's an advantage for Hawaii. It would not surprise me again if they win 9 games or even 10. Knowing full well what they have back, we could see them on top of the league. It would not surprise me. Air Force, I have at 5. I just don't believe the Falcons are going to be bad again. Troy Calhoun is in his 20th year. Now, they made some news over the weekend. Air Force fired its athletic director. Not sure really why yet. Football has not been good the last 2 years, but they parted ways with their AD late last week. They were 4-8 last year. They bring back a bruiser of a running back. They run the triple option. Remember, Air Force can't take any transfers, right? And they can't redshirt anybody. Now, granted, that rule is done because redshirting is over as of August of 2026, next month. But they can't do that at the school. So you can't add any transfers. So you got to grow up and play that level of football, that kind of football, against schools that are adding players left and right. Bison have their first conference game at Air Force, September the 12th. Circle it. It's a 9 o'clock start. It's going to be a difficult game. UNLV also goes to Colorado Springs this year. So that's, again, throw that on UNLV's schedule, that they got to go to Hawaii and they have to go to Air Force this year. That'll be difficult. I have Wyoming at 6. They have been awful on offense since Tim Polisic left. I'll just say it. I don't know if that's connected or not. Since Craig Bowl retired, Polisic took the job here, Wyoming has stunk offensively. They have been one of the worst offensive teams in FBS football. They bring in an FCS transfer at quarterback. Tyler Hughes will be their guy, who from William and Mary. Their leading receiving threat has just 13 career receptions. That may sound familiar like North Dakota State. It doesn't have a ton returning in the receiving room. Defensively, Wyoming is really, really solid. I think they will be in every game this year. They were bad last year. They win enough to go bowling this season. They have trips to Colorado State, NDSU, and UNLV. That's tough. Jay Sawvell's got to win this year. If he doesn't, I'm not sure he's still the coach in 2027. That's the same for Nevada with Jeff Choate, our old friend from Montana State, who's not been good in his first couple years in Nevada. 6-19 as head coach of the Wolfpack. They need a big year to keep his job. They have a returning quarterback. Sophomore is his name, and Carter Jones. Here's the intriguing thing about Nevada. Their non-con, guess who they play? Montana State. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I believe that's September the 12th, that they could be the underdog in that game. Choate facing his old school. They're hosting the game in Reno. Montana State has everybody back. They are the reigning FCS champions. I would not be surprised if the betting lines come out that week, the Montana State is a slight favorite in that game. That is a monster game. Nevada can't lose to Montana State. If they do, knowing what the other non-league games they have and who they have to play in the league, they come to Fargo, could be a long year for the Wolfpack. I have San Jose State, Northern Illinois, and UTEP rounding it out. All 3 of these teams are unremarkable. Northern Illinois just signed Teron Dickens. You may know that name from Western Carolina. He was the runner-up to Bo Brungard for the Walter Payton Award. He finished ahead of Cole Payton in the voting. I presented that award. I was still stunned that Teron Dickens was second. Dickens actually signed with North Carolina earlier this offseason, then asked out of his NLI, his National Letter of Intent. He broke up with Bill Belichick, was still on the market, and Northern Illinois needed a quarterback because Their head coach left in February. Thomas Hammock left for the Seattle Seahawks. They have an interim coach in Rob Harley. So NIU gets Teron Dickens. UTEP, the other newcomer to the league, also has an FCS quarterback. E.J. Colson from the University of the Incarnate Word is their quarterback. UTEP's got a lot to work on here. They lost nearly their entire defense. Their head coach is Scotty Walden, formerly from Austin Peay. So if you thought we were leaving the FCS behind, I'm here to tell you we did but didn't. There are still a lot of FCS pieces all around this conference, whether it's starting quarterbacks, whether it's coaches. I think for fans, there's another entry point into following the league because there's players or coaches that we know. UTEP, by the way, their non-conference, listen to who they play. You may have heard of these schools. Oklahoma and Michigan. On top of the fact they go to New Mexico, they go to Fargo, and go to Air Force. Might be a tough road to hoe there for the Miners in 2026. So there you have it. That's the poll, at least for me. The league's not doing one. Other media entities likely will and put them out between now and the start of the season, or at least till media days begin here in a couple weeks. So bookmark it now. We'll post the video. Save it. And for different media markets around the league, if your team has been belittled here, you can come back and laugh at me in November and say, oh, you didn't know what the hell you were talking about, which join the club on that one. But that's what we have. I have Jaden Thomas from UNLV as the Offensive Player of the Year. He's the running back. Jackson Eck from New Mexico as Defensive Player of the Year. I picked Jackson Williams as Special Teams Player of the Year. I know he's going to play more wide receiver. Watch Jackson Williams do some special things again, though, for NDSU. Special teams-wise. All right, we'll take our last break. We come back, we'll wrap things up, get you ready for the battle with Belgium. The Battle of the Bulge. Wasn't that in Belgium? I thought it was. We'll wrap up Hot Mic right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on this Monday. We're back with you tomorrow. We'll recap, of course, the match that happens tonight. One way or the other, it's going to be a story. The Belgians are going to file a protest over it, I imagine. The story just keeps getting better. The president spoke about it earlier with his first media availability of the day, which I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, that he actually addressed it and said, yeah, he did call. So just so bizarre. It's so changed everything about this that I mentioned earlier, that now I think there's a lot of people cheering against the United States to win tonight. And I can't blame them, but you know what? Corruption in sports, it works if it's a fan of your team, right? Like, hey, finally something goes our way. Awesome, right? And when it goes against you, then like, oh, wow, what? That's the beauty of it. Let's get a couple emails in here before we wrap the show. Dom, is there an advantage to signing up for Mountain West Plus for conference game viewing since the TV game schedules have already been announced? Appreciate that. So the Mountain West Plus app went live on, Wednesday, I believe. How it works, if you are a fan of said school, let's just take North Dakota State, you buy the app to watch their games. Like, because we can't stream said games that we're doing. Like, if you could find an Inforum to find the Fordham game and the UTEP game, you won't be able to find it there. You'll have to go on the Mountain West. But it's very similar to how we have to do for Summit League basketball. Like, we can't stream the Summit League games. It goes to the Summit League network. The only difference here is that money would go directly to NDSU if you are buying it for the games for the Fordham game and the UTEP game. And they've designed that as a kind of feast or famine for said schools. If you wanted to watch UTEP, that money would be funneled to their school. That's how that works. It's a little different modeling app. We're going to get a little more info on that when we go to Vegas in a couple weeks, but that's the gist of why you would sign up. That's why. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, we mentioned it, 7 o'clock tonight for the United States and Belgium. Winner moves on to the quarterfinals. Loser is done. We'll recap it tomorrow. The Lynx, by the way, are rolling. Tonight they've got Connecticut, 7 o'clock on Victory Plus. That's the streaming home where you can find everything for the Lynx. And it's the round of 16. Everybody playing in Wimbledon. You can flip that on now on ESPN. Our thanks to Katie Burchill and Michael Breker. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay of our show on WDAY+. It's great to be back. Football season is almost here, folks. We can smell it. Thanks so much for joining us on this Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.